My name is Ed Nardi, Acting Chair of the Natural Resources Commission for this evening's meeting, and I am calling this public meeting to order at 7 p.m. Tonight's NRC meeting will be a hybrid in-person and Zoom meeting. We have a microphone set up on the commission table and plans to be projected through the TV monitor. If you are presenting via Zoom, please turn on your audio and microphone when it is time for you to speak. Following the presentation by the petitioner and questions from the commission, members of the public will have the opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment. Please identify yourself with name and address for the record. You can also raise your hand from your phone by dialing *9 and use *6 to unmute. All video screens will be turned off with the exception of any commissioners attending virtually and the current petitioner. Once the commission has acted on an application, the petitioner is free to leave the meeting. In the event of any technical difficulties, all matters on the agenda that have not been heard will be automatically continued to the October 1st meeting. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. At this time, I would ask commissioners to introduce themselves. Bill?
Bill Cremeza.
Nick?
Nick Pappas.
Gary Kleiman? Thank you. All right, we'll move into our first agenda item, which is a public comment period limited up to 10 minutes with no more than 2 minutes allocated to any one speaker. Please note, public comment is limited to items that are not on the agenda this evening. So I don't see any in person. Nothing on Zoom. All right, we'll move to our next item, commissioner comments. Do we have any for the evening?
None for me now.
All right. Moving quickly to director's update. Delia.
Well, I do have a few things for you. First, everybody is probably aware already, but just a reminder, kind of a PSA about EEE. Concord is now at a moderate risk level for EEE, which is a mosquito-borne virus. It's not something that anybody will want to get. It has a high mortality rate. There were cases in Sudbury and Acton, and so those communities are at high. So the health officials are, the health director and the state are advising for nighttime exposure, wear full clothing and mosquito repellent, and really just try to limit your nighttime exposure. There's no day biting mosquitoes that we are aware of in Concord that are carrying EEE, but the last testing that was done was at the end of July. So that's not, there was some that was done recently and the results are coming back this week. So until first frost, just to be very vigilant about so if you're near wetlands, especially, and just to limit nighttime exposure and to be wearing protective clothing. Ag Day was this past weekend. It was a successful day. Many of you commissioners were able to join, and I felt like it was just a really positive and upbeat occurrence. We tabled again with the land trust, and so that was fun. It was the 19th annual, and we'll do it again next year. Giroux Park update. I think everybody is aware that there's some concerns from the Friends of Warner's Pond and maybe others in the community about the amount of trees that have been planted at Giroux. And so they have developed a plan that is going to be finessed a little bit, but we've looked at it with them to essentially replace some of the tree plantings with shrub plantings. This will come back to NRC for approval, and will essentially need to meet the mitigation requirements. But, there was nothing that couldn't have happened during the permitting process that would have allowed this to happen, with less tree plantings and more shrub and herbaceous plantings. So they're working on that, and that's been a good
Can I
team
get
effort.
just a
Yeah.
question on that?
Yep.
It seems to me that there's an element of timing in there as well, that like trees, if you give them enough time, they
Yeah.
don't screen access. They, grow, the canopy grows up high, whereas shrubs, you give them time, they fill out and they actually prevent more access, which seems like what the Friends
Right,
were seeking.
Right.
So,
right. So
is
I
that
think we need to,
consideration or?
it is a consideration. I think their concern, and I would agree with this, is that the planting plan was very robust in terms of the tree concentration. And I think you can prune up if you
Mhm.
have trees
Yeah.
and, there's a drop off, so
yeah.
you have shrub
Yeah.
plantings that you're not necessarily gonna impede the visual, and you will have the, the vegetative buffer that NRC is generally looking
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're taking into consideration 10 years, 15 years down the line.
Right.
when-
Or they should be.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
The,
right.
the planners who are,
The planners,
that's what
right.
had the problem
Right.
with the last time.
And, that can be something that when this comes back, we can make sure that that's
Brought
the
up.
case.
Yeah,
It
it's a
was
very-
not brought up at, during the permitting
No.
process by anybody, so it's a little bit after the fact at this point, but.
Yep.
Trying to make sure it meets everybody's.
Yeah.
Needs. The Warner's Pond Task Force, we had a meeting last night, and as you know, we've been meeting regularly. The next meeting is September 26th, and that will be here. At last night's meeting, it was, I thought, a very productive discussion.
Mhm.
The dam removal, so as you know, there's the task force. And then there are 3 subgroups that have been established. There's the dam removal subgroup, there's the dredging subgroup, and there is the short-term interim action subgroup. And the dam removal group presented sort of some concepts that they were looking for some feedback for on how to, continue moving ahead. And essentially they had a straight dam removal option and then kind of Cadillac option where it was dam removal combined with dredging. So it was dredging to make sure that the stream geometry, that the depth was deep enough to allow adequate.
Not much sunlight, so there would be less growth, as part of it, right? For invasives. And then also close enough to the Commonwealth Avenue site.
To relocate the
to-
channel.
Right, to relocate the channel so that the scouts have access from Commonwealth Avenue without going across a long boardwalk. If it's just a brook.
Mm,
See what I'm saying? They want to bring their vehicle and their trailer right, very close to the water and not have to trudge. What was it, 30, 50 feet out or more? on
Oh,
that
I see.
boardwalk
Yeah.
yeah,
To get at the,
to load and,
yeah.
yeah.
So that was, I can't, it was, and also. you mentioned
Trails.
this, Trails,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes. Go
So there was
ahead.
some interesting concepts that they're thinking about that allow for trail networks, around the
Most
ponds.
of the pond, yeah. Significant
And then
portion of the
connecting
pond.
into Bruce Freeman. So
Yeah.
they're very conceptual with it, but I thought it was very intriguing and I felt like there was a lot of excitement
Mm.
around,
Yeah.
that.
You know what also I thought worked, when we divided up the groups, we made sure the groups had people with mixed opinion about,
Yep.
it wasn't one type of people in the group. And I thought that worked. I mean, I thought all of them who were presenting it were behind pretty much what they were presenting to us. I
Yeah.
mean, in the sense of, this is the best we have and we're putting it right in front of you.
Mhm.
So that was well done.
Well, it's good to see some enthusiasm for, direction
It
there.
wa- it
Yeah.
was, and I thought a lot of, thoughtful comments from the rest of the people who were there
Mhm.
too.
All right.
Yeah.
I guess another question, and maybe I should be making input or whatever into the work plan or whatever,
Yeah.
the committee meeting rather than here, but is there any consideration being given in that subgroup that's talking about trails around the area to MCI? And the potential, I mean, I've been thinking about this and thinking there would be an amazing potential for a trail network that could connect all the way around to the Assabet River as well, like a
Mhm.
waterfront, trail along, and I think about the Boulder Creek path all the time, because I think we have, this is going back 15 years since I've been here in Concord, thinking about how we have an amazing river network that could support something like the Boulder Creek path along the Assabet and the Neshoba Brook, all the way. And so I just wonder if people
That
are
hasn't-
thinking about
It
that.
hasn't
Hasn't come
No,
forward
it's an
yet,
interesting thought. It really is, yeah.
there's a public comment portal on the,
Ah,
on the
okay.
task force website.
And people are watching that. They're looking
Yep.
at that.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess.
That's a
maybe
good point. That's a
Yep.
really good point.
That is a good.
People are excited about the notion of developing trails.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I would think that if there's a potential private developer that's coming in to do
Mhm.
MCI.
MCI.
Yeah.
And they want, community support for their development,
Mhm.
there could be a lot of money
Yeah,
that they could,
yeah.
contribute to that.
Right.
So,
And speaking of MCI, there will be a public meeting tomorrow night at the townhouse. the Division or Department of Capital Assets Management and Maintenance, together with town officials, will be providing an update to talk about where things stand, and to look for community feedback on that. So that's at the townhouse. It's also on Zoom tomorrow night at 7 PM. An update on the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail. We are very close to opening Phase 2D, which runs between Powder Mill Road through the town of Sudbury. It's basically at the stage of punch list items
Oh,
with the contractor, and we're, there's still a gate across at Powder Mill, and we've had a lot of, we have a new trail right now that comes off Powder Mill. People are coming off Powder Mill Road and down a very steep embankment to avoid the, the fence there that restricts access. So we're hopeful for the contractor to finish up very soon,
Where's the Sudbury terminus? Where does it end?
at the town line.
At the far town line?
That's my
Near Framingham?
understanding. Yeah. Yeah, so it's coming right along, because I think Framingham is the last leg.
Mhm.
That's as I understand it. I'm not entirely sure about that.
That's a long distance.
yeah.
It's 25 miles in its entirety when it's fully complete. And working with Will, our land manager, to get some bike racks installed. There's a trail that comes off the Bruce Freeman close to White Pond. And so we're gonna be putting in a bike rack. There are seven bike rack. That's, we have signs there that say no trails. Obviously, they're sensitive, they're sandy soils. It's a great pond, and we've been working really hard to keep it clean. So we don't want bikes, and then we'll have one at the Sudbury Development, the new Sudbury Development Culvert Crossing, as well as at the Barrack Street entrance.
Good.
And then as far as water quality goes at White Pond, this is year 3 of working with Higgins Environmental. 3rd year of no blooms, no
Wow.
cyanobacteria
That's
blooms.
great.
So, yeah, I think we were cautiously optimistic in the
Yeah,
beginning,
yeah.
and I think we can say that, this technology is working.
Yeah.
Which is pretty exciting.
Pretty good.
Bird has been working on the Chamberlain Park Zigzag Bridge. Was having a lot of problems, and last year Bert did some efforts with Will and with the Trails Committee to institute some repairs, and did some more this summer. They are ongoing and will continue.
Yeah.
So until we can get, it's a lot of money. It's several
is.
$100,000 to do a
Yeah.
full replacement of the decking
Oof.
and the railings. So Bert's
Well,
been
I've
working on
noticed,
that.
I've noticed that,
Yeah,
the improvements, yeah,
It is
yeah,
better,
absolutely.
Yeah.
which is
The
good.
ongoing,
Yeah, yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
At Haywood Meadow, there's a couple of things that have been going on there. Volunteer Michael Sprague has removed, or we dropped off the benches to him to refinish them. Those are the 2 benches on both sides of the meadow.
Mhm.
They're nice mahogany benches, and had been pretty uncared for a number of years. And then maybe 3 years ago, he refinished them with a spar varnish,
Hmm.
and it only lasted 3 years.
Yeah, it varnishes. That's
Even
limited life.
a marine spar?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, the sun.
yeah,
the
just
sun's
killed
tough
it.
on them.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, I'll talk to you offline about
Yeah.
what we should be doing next
Yeah.
time. But those should be back. 2 of those, there are actually 3 benches, and 2 of those should be installed. If not Friday, then the following week. Will's wife is expecting, her due
Yep.
date is tomorrow, so see how that,
oh, yeah.
ties in with everything. We're gonna be doing some additional invasives work at Haywood Meadow this fall. And we'll be submitting an application for the Millbrook wall. That's short 50-foot section of wall. We actually have construction funds. There was a little bit of a miscommunication between who was gonna take care of the design. So I'm submitting an application this week for CPA funds.
I don't know what wall, where are we talking about?
So it's it's the Haywood Meadow, it's on Haywood Street.
Yeah,
You can't really, you wouldn't notice it unless you looked for it. So if you were walking from Walden Street up to Lexington Road,
yeah,
and you're on the left-hand side of Haywood Street, and you just cross over at the Millbrook,
yeah,
then there's a little concrete capped 50-foot section of wall that's
Oh,
retaining. It actually
okay,
retains and
okay.
holds the sidewalk.
Huh.
And there's a huge undercut. And yeah, so it's in the right of way, but we said we would take care of it because, you know, we, you
Good.
know, we have a committee and they're interested,
yeah.
in- so,
That's good.
we just need to, get funds for the design. Will has also had a couple of projects that he's been working on, one at the town forest, doing a water bars project on the, southeast side of Fairyland, so there's a steep slope that comes down and there's a little bit of a delta of sediment that's come
Yeah.
in. So he worked with volunteers and the Trails Committee to put in 6 water bars there,
Yeah.
so that should be an improvement. And then, the old Calf Pasture Boardwalk, which was an Eagle Scout project, maybe 10 years ago, was, with the, you know, flooding and receding of the, Concord River, the confluence there. And maybe perhaps not the best securing as part of the original plan.
Right.
It lifted off the footings, and so they basically took the whole thing off and reestablished that with some pretty secure, connection to the footings.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what's been going on with us.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
All right, 2 continuances, one to October 1, one to November 6th. Someone want to put a motion forward for both those?
I move that we continue to October 1st without discussion. DEP file number 1371647. 311 Garfield.
Second.
Thank you, and the vote, Bill,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
and I am an I as well.
And I move that we continue to November 6th without discussion. DEP file 1371641. 154 Southfield Road.
Second.
All right, and the vote, Bill,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
and I am an I as well. Thank you. All right, we'll get into our first continuance this evening, which is a notice of intent for Middlesex School. DEP file 137-1674. And good
Hi,
evening.
hi, how are you? Stephen
Sure.
Ventresca with Niche Engineering. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Excellent. We're here returning with this project for Middlesex School for their new athletic center. We had been before the commission previously and continued the hearing to this date. We were waiting for the peer review for drainage to conclude, which it did earlier today. We received a letter noting that we had addressed all open comments. And so, but I'm happy to go through the project again if the commission so wishes, or if there are additional questions that they may have, but
All right, let me ask, any commissioners, any questions?
No.
All right, are there any public comment from any preceding meetings, or this meeting? All right, I think seeing that, I think we do have an order of conditions prepared. Who's the lucky one on this time around?
Oh, I have it.
All right,
Okay. I move that we close and issue an order of conditions for Middlesex School, 1400 Lowell Road, DEP file number 137-1674 with finding A, standard conditions 1 through 20 and special conditions 21 through 58.
Second.
all right, and the vote, Bill,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
and I am an I as well. I think you're all set, thank you.
excellent. Thank you very much. Just 2 questions, Delia. When is the order of conditions ready to be picked up for recording?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Perfect. Okay.
Do you want to pick it up? You will be here to pick it up?
I
Oh.
probably Kurt LaCroix, who's works at Middlesex Facilities Director. He can pick it up tomorrow.
That'd be easier. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just have to be sure to pick it up tomorrow. The date goes on that it's gonna be picked up tomorrow, so 8 to 4:30, we're here.
You have a second question?
second?
The appeal period, I always forget, is it 20
10 days.
days or 10
10.
days?
10
10
business
calendar
days.
days, business days.
10 business.
Okay, business. Okay,
Yeah.
those are my questions. Thanks.
Okay,
Thanks.
yeah, have a nice evening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, you
Yeah.
too. Thanks, Delia. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, let's see, our next continuance is a notice of intent. 3 Riverside Avenue, DEP file 137-1676.
Someone here?
Yeah.
Kyle? Is that what it was? Want to come up? Oh, next one, okay.
You got
Next one
Kyle?
here, Okay.
Okay. I see his name.
He's muted.
He's gray.
Camera and mic, Kyle, please.
Yeah, Kyle, you're muted.
I think he's probably working on it.
Oh,
Or maybe he left the room for a minute.
Let's see, I'll give him another minute.
But we could also jump to Falls Hill and then come back.
Yeah, this is sleeping.
He did come out and then come back in.
Oh, he did?
So I don't know if
okay.
he's having
So
some
maybe it's-
technical
Yeah,
difficulties.
let's give him a minute, then we can always come back to him. Yeah, it's pretty close.
He could jump to.
Yeah, well, good. Yeah, we'll jump to 220 and then we'll come back to Three Riverside. Okay, so we'll jump to, let's see, yeah. Notice of intent, 220 Balls Hill Road, DEP file 137-1677. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, commission members. My name is Nicole Ferrara from LEC Environmental. If I may, share my screen. We
Sure.
are, great. We continued the hearing, at the last one to today. Just to refresh everyone's memory, we are proposing to conduct some site grading, and a little bit of tree clearing and landscaping within the 100-foot buffer zone of BVW. And this is part of a larger single-family house project. At the last hearing, we did receive some comments regarding the planting plan, invasive species management, and tree protection details. So since then, we have submitted some revised plans to address those. And specifically, I will zoom in. For our planting plan, we have increased the number of trees in this vegetated slope area. So we included some of those in our proposed planting plan. We've also included notes about the invasive species at the bottom here. Specifically, we'll manage the invasive buckthorn within the limit of work within the 100-foot buffer zone by way of hand removal or hand tools, and it'll all be hauled off-site. The Japanese patch along the road will be managed by treatment of the cut stems with glyphosate, and it'll be done by a licensed pesticide applicator. And then we've also included a note stating that any trees within 25 feet of the work will be protected. And then lastly, as requested, we have submitted details on the landscaping and planting that'll occur outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. So we've included, a little design here of the approximate locations of the trees, as well as a brief planting list at the top here. And that about covers the revisions. I'm happy to turn it back over to the commission for any questions.
Thank you, Nicole. It looks like you've covered all the questions we had last time, Bill.
yeah, I know, I think that's true. I don't see anything.
Okay,
No.
everybody's good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
looks
is
good.
there any public comment regarding this application? Not seeing any? All right, I do believe we have an order of condition prepared for this evening.
Sure, so I move that we close the hearing and issue an order of conditions for DEP file number 137-1677 at 220 Balls Hill Road with findings A and B, conditions 1 through 20 and special conditions 21 through 61.
Second,
Thank you, Nick, and the vote, Bill,
Aye.
Nick,
aye.
Gary,
Aye.
and I am an I as well. Thank you, Nicole. Good luck with the
Great,
project.
thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. All right, let's see if we can swing back to 3 Riverside Ave, and Kyle's with us. You see him out there?
He's on the line, but I
Still think he's having Technical difficulties?
Yeah.
Okay,
So this is for 3 Riverside. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this?
I wonder if they want to reach him by phone, and see if he's
yeah, that might be the,
Hi,
Oh,
Um,
here's.
I'm Leah with Oxbow Associates. I
okay.
was talking with Kyle and he's still having technical difficulties.
okay.
So I
Want
don't,
to take over?
You comfortable moving ahead?
I don't really know, honestly.
You know what, if you want, we can come
I would
back.
rather loop back and we can,
Sure,
That's
go
fine.
back. Okay,
problem.
perfect, thank you.
you bet. Thank you for letting us know.
Yeah.
All right,
Sorry, I didn't see you on the call. Sorry about that.
no problem. We'll jump to the notice of intent, 61 Lindsay Pond Road, DEP file 137-1678. All right, I think that this is Richard, right?
Yes. Rich Harrington
On the audience.
is on the call.
Oh, is he? Okay.
I see that Kyle's iPhone has joined, so. Rich Harrington, are you on the call? Okay, Kyle. I see you joined with your phone. Are you able to present on 3 Riverside?
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, all right, so we're gonna jump back to 3 Riverside. Right? Hey, Kyle, there you are.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem.
The
no problem.
program kept crashing on me, so.
Okay.
So I just wanted to, Kyle Cormier with Oxbow Associates. I'm here to present the project before the commission. Primarily just going over updates to the plan. Since the last meeting, there's been a site walk. So the primary updates are that we provided a planting plan. In the planting plan, we're proposing removing 4 Norway maples that were discovered on the site walk. We're going to be providing replantings within the invasive treatment areas. These replantings are black willow, 2 of them, sweet pepper bush, 4 of them, gray dogwoods, 4 of them, blueberry high bush, 4 of them, arrowwoods, 4 of them, service berries, 4, red maple trees, 2 of them, and then also put wet mix, seed mix in areas that do not grow back readily. We're also proposing removing the fireplace, which I believe Janet has already completed and sent photos to Delia. And we also added a stockpile area on the plan, so we just got an updated plan today. I'll send to Delia after the meeting, but it's not shown on this plan. It's at the front of the house. And we also added a table to the plan near the top of the plan showing all the impacts to each buffer zone, riverfront and BVW.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. 'Cause that's what was missing. One of the elements that was missing was the so-called table.
yeah.
If you would scroll up, it's actually on this slide.
Oh, there it is.
Um, The street view of the front of the house.
At the,
What do,
Um.
If-
But.
Just name and address for the
Oh,
record,
I'm
if you don't
sorry,
mind. That's,
Janet and Mike Hammers, 3 Riverside, yeah,
Thanks.
actually, project
Yeah.
is in question.
yeah, thank you. Okay, so, and just to address the other comment that I know staff had was, so as Kyle was explaining, is that kind of getting to the issue of, instead of just conservation seed mix, throwing in some herbaceous
so
plantings?
maybe Kyle, you can talk through that a little bit because you have some herbaceous, some seed mix where there's some presumably loose strife removal. But then I don't think we have the square footage of the areas where you're doing woody invasives removal. So we
Right.
just need to confirm that the aerial coverage is gonna be sufficient following the invasives removal. So that's, I guess, one comment, just where you have the woody invasives removal, what area does that cover? So are those pepperbush, blueberry and arrowwood serviceberry, are those plantings sufficient? And then where you've got the loosestrife removal, maybe I would suggest you hatch out the loosestrife removal areas differently than the woody areas.
Okay.
And do you say that because what you put back in the loose stripe versus the woody areas can be different?
Yeah, I mean, I think where you have loosestrife removal that you're doing, the herbaceous is fine. The
Yeah.
seed mix is okay.
Yeah.
But where you've got the woody removal, you want to replace it with woody
Material,
material.
okay.
Yeah,
Native shrubs or.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And then you-
that's,
Requesting, Delia, I didn't understand.
So see on the plan where it says purple loosestrife and it has, it's the same hatching as where you've got other woody invasives removal.
Right.
So to distinguish between the loosestrife removal and the woodier, like the buckthorn removal, hatch those differently because they're treated differently in terms of how they are replanted. So the loosestrife being a herbaceous could be replanted with herbaceous. And then the woody buckthorn areas of removal, you would replant with a, native shrub plantings that are proposed. We just need to make sure that the coverage
Exactly.
is adequate.
Okay.
So
Because
we,
I thought Ms. Arrows pretty much delineated out the seed mix. And then they were basically telling us that the projected plan of replanting would be at the actual sites where they were removed.
right,
So the arrows are inadequate. We need an actual
Um,
measurement of those.
I think I can jump in and clarify a little bit here. So the purple loosestrife areas are the cluster of 4 off to the right side. And it says reseed with New England wetland mix.
Right.
And then all the woody vegetation that's being removed is called out independently off to the left. So you can see the gray willow areas, glossy buckthorn areas, and glossy buckthorn and oriental bittersweet. So the woody vegetation is primarily off to the left side, and then purple loosestrife is off to the east. And then we called out which plants are being put where, primarily the woody vegetation. So you can in green, you can see 3 gray dogwoods and 2 serviceberries pointed at the most southern gray willow area. So I think the plan is, in my opinion, pretty sufficient, showing which areas are which and what we're doing.
Do you think? I'm sorry.
And
Do you think the count of plants would cover that 978 square feet? I'm just not sure if the
so,
math would.
well, I think having different hatching would be useful because whenever somebody goes out to look at this in the fields,
Yeah.
we're not gonna remember this conversation necessarily. And so further question, is that 978 square feet covering the 5 areas or is it that one area?
that is just that one area.
Or,
Right, so you need to calculate what all those areas are.
yeah, you need the square footage for those areas so you can just figure out the right amount of plantings. that's
Right.
all.
Okay.
Yeah. Great.
It would be helpful if the woody invasives were a different color hatching
Yeah.
than
That's what you're saying.
Or
the herbaceous.
add another,
style.
add another
Yeah.
square,
Yeah.
so it's
Go
a
the other
square
way.
hatching versus a parallel hatching,
Right.
something simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see, just trying to, I know you didn't provide the other kind of mitigation for the tree and silt fence and straw wattle, that's all provided, which is great. So it seems like we're just down to these couple, just kind of fine tuning, if you will, in terms of, checking square footages, the right coverage with the right materials.
Right.
So-
One thing that I also want to bring up that the commission may be interested in the treatment of purple loosestrife. We're considering using the biocontrol method of using beetles, which feed on purple loosestrife. It's kind of a new method, and we have a contact that can provide us those beetles. So
That's great.
I'm kind of excited to use that method instead of herbicide potentially, so.
Right.
That sounds good. So are we, anything else, Kyle, from your perspective?
I think that's it.
Okay. Hey,
Can I just ask a question about the beetle method? I mean, so you release the beetles, you give them a few months and then like how long does it typically take before you can reseed with herbaceous, wet?
You could do it
seed
right
mix?
away. I mean, it's a cyclical
Uh-huh.
thing. So they will, if you release them like right now, they're
Yeah.
gonna be active and then they'll overwinter.
And
They
then,
go dormant and they come back. So
and presumably prevent the spring regrowth.
they don't
or-
fully prevent it and you
Yeah.
don't want them to because you want to maintain a population
Mm.
of them so that, I mean, the town of Concord, the Land Trust, Fish and Wildlife, and probably others, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, we did a lot of releases
Mm.
around town. And there's still,
A
Beetles.
population of them around.
yeah, so French's Meadow was one of the release points and you can still see like at Old Calf beetle damage, and we saw that in your,
We did.
yep. And that might have been, I can't think of what the closest one was there, but there are, beetles, but it helps, they're, I think it's good to get an infusion of new
Mhm.
ones,
Yeah.
but they won't completely knock out the loose strife, but they bring it down so that it's
So
not a
the
monoculture
other
anymore.
herbaceous plantings can outcompete.
Right,
So,
exactly.
so how would you overseed with a seed mix then if the new stripe is still there to some?
Right.
Just
So if
curious.
you do a fall seeding,
Mm-hmm,
everything dies back.
yeah, and then
And
they got a little toe hold
they have a little toe hold,
Okay,
right? So
okay.
they'll do,
over time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay,
It completely all dies down.
yeah, yeah, okay,
Right.
makes sense.
So Leah did a really comprehensive GPS measurement thing. So it'd be a simple matter of the Oxbow group coming back and just working with their original.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
To be more specific.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Those areas. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, and and the mitigation policy is now up on the website somewhere? In
It
terms
is.
of, yeah, so they can just refer to that too, in terms of just,
Making sure the
coverage.
numbers.
So to speak.
yeah, that's all. Yeah,
Okay.
should be relatively straightforward.
Mhm.
Okay,
And as long as everything is, in line, everybody's on the same page, this could just go to close an issue at the next
Right.
meeting. There wouldn't be a need for another presentation.
and just to give Kyle the timing, so those kind of revised plans should be in, what, a week from Friday? Is that
A
right?
week from Friday,
Okay,
and just to be aware that our next meeting is on a Tuesday instead of Wednesday, so it's October 1st instead of the
Yeah.
2nd.
Okay.
There's some, yeah, for any. There's
Okay.
yeah, so it's Tuesday,
Oh, Rosh Hashanah
Rosh
is
Hashanah.
Thursday,
yeah,
Yeah.
so it starts Wednesday night, yeah.
Right.
gotcha.
right,
Okay,
right, yeah.
before we go, any public comment on this application?
Not seeing-
Not seeing any? Okay, good for continuing until next time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
So
thanks very
next-
much. Appreciate it. All right, so that took go.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, now we're going to,
It's gonna be a complicated evening for me.
what's that?
October 1st is a NRC meeting. It's a 2229 Main Street meeting and it's my father's 92nd birthday.
Oh,
That's fantastic.
Well, that takes priority.
Yeah,
And we'll see.
yeah, okay. Let's see, I think we're moving to notice of intent, 61 Lindsay Pond Road, DP file 137-1678. Thank you, Richard's here with us. Good evening.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, yep.
Yeah, great. If you want to put the plan up on the screen, Bert, or share the screen. So if you recall, we revised the plan at the last meeting. We talked about, we requested to move the existing driveway currently right now is within the 25-foot no disturb zone. And we have moved the driveway to be outside the 50-foot buffer zone line. And so we're going to provide, removing the gravel driveway within the 25 and the 50. And the existing water line is going to remain in that location. And then we have a proposed house from Elise Stone that we've added to the plan with some grading for patios around the building, which are partially in the buffer zone. And then we have our septic system resized and minimized to reduce the grading in the buffer zone also at the back of the house. So we have updated the proposed limit of work and tree protection lines and stockpile area closer to the driveway. And we just provide the water line around the corner of the building. And this minimizes the work. It's very flat from the driveway entrance to the site of the house. We're flattening out the grading around the building. And so there is a slight increase in impervious area because of moving the driveway over and the turnout of the side load driveway. Can you go to the mitigation plan?
Give me 1 second.
Zoom up. Dave Fisher is prepared this plan for us, and what he's proposing is that within the 25-foot no disturb zone, we provide a conservation seed mixture, and then we've matched the turf grass, the lawn area or grass vegetation to the 25 to 50. We have a net increase of 2,680 square feet in the buffer zone from the house, mostly from the driveway. And we're going to mitigate that with invasive removal of 3,000 square feet in the front spruce tree stand. And then there's an additional mitigation of 4,000 square feet within the view easement along the pond. So what we're doing is we're, similar to what your mitigation is, we're restoring a buffer along the driveway of 50 feet to the wetlands. And then we're also providing invasive species removal within the tree of the spruce trees to remain in that location.
Hey, Bert, would you mind just point to those areas just to differentiate them for
Yeah, so
us,
this
just to be clear?
would be the driveway area here,
Yeah.
and then this up here is
Yeah,
the.
Can you
sorry,
scroll down so that we can read what the arrow? No, well, scroll up, I guess,
Scroll up.
so that I can,
There we go.
Yeah.
yeah.
okay.
Mitigation area 3. And pruning, removal of invasives, yeah.
So, Rich, I think you talked with Bert about this today. This came in late.
Yeah.
So there wasn't time to review this.
Yeah.
But just looking at where the driveway is being removed. So it says that it's gonna be replanted with lawn.
In the 25 to 50.
Okay, so.
And
Yeah.
then I think conservation wildlife in the
Conservation
25.
mix in the 25.
Is that correct? I think I'm
Yep.
reading that right.
Yeah,
Right, we're trying to match like with like,
Yeah.
with the field there.
okay. Okay, so that, we'll need some time to review that.
Yeah.
We can't comment on that right now, Rich, but.
And then it just says they're gonna, I think that mitigation at the top left, it has notation about they're going to hand pruning of it.
So this is the existing view easement.
I'm not sure what pruning means when it comes to invasive.
Right, so is. If you haven't provided a description of what that invasives removal looks like, you should, we'll need that before the next meeting, by next Friday.
Okay, so that area is additional, that's in excess of what we need, but that's the
Yeah.
existing view easement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah, just be
Well,
helpful to know just the approach of it, because when you
Right.
say prune, it means like something staying versus.
Right.
Removing.
and I'm
That's
not
all.
sure that that would necessarily be considered mitigation if you're looking to accomplish a view easement. I mean, that seems like it's, Separate.
it's kind of a hybrid, so we have,
It's
as you know, this lot is
Okay.
the Restino land, so the hand pruning is to maintain the view easement, which the lot has been conveyed with the lot. For the
so is
benefit
it hand pruning of what?
of the tree limbs to maintain the view over time. And then there's also invasives in that area, so those two basically will manage that area also with invasive removal.
Okay, so that I think needs to be distinguished a little bit too, because it looks like it's hand removal and hand pruning of invasives.
Right, it's just,
Yeah, so hand pruning of trees.
Right,
removal of
and
invasives.
Yeah.
removal of invasive.
Yeah, and then just the
Yeah.
methodology on how you're gonna go about that.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yes.
we'll provide some additional information on that. So, the net result is that area is somewhat, separate and aside to what we have proposed for the mitigation. So
Mhm.
the area for the driveway and then the invasives in the front,
Mhm.
exceeds the square footage of, by moving the driveway over. And it's more square footage to meet your current policy, so.
Yeah.
and how wide is the driveway now?
So, a little bit wider at the entrance to turn in, but it's 12 feet wide, as requested at the last meeting.
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, so, commissioners, any further
No,
comments?
she'll be back, he'll be back to us then
Yeah.
for more detail. Yeah, that makes
Okay.
sense.
So what I'd like
Alright.
to do is if Dave could just work with staff and come up with a plan for that, and then if that's the remaining items, then, that'd be great.
Yeah, that we should
So
be,
just, yeah, as long as we get something in by next Friday noon.
lastly, any public comment in regard to this application? Not saying anything?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so Rich, thank you. We'll see you back, next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to new applications this evening, which is a RDA for Comcast, 1024 Main Street, RDA file number 24-12. Come on up.
Well,
Hey, guys.
How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Good evening, Paul Dusnap from Dusnap Engineering. I have Dave Florence from Comcast. I felt like we should have just taken the tape from a year ago and just
Yeah.
played it.
Yeah.
We're here with another damaged buried cable, of course.
Yeah.
Concord Green Unit number 31. It's right off the rear of the building, as shown on the plan up there. Staying outside the 25-foot, no build zone, all the works outside that, straw water line along it.
How deep do you guys go? A foot or?
Typically 2 feet to the
2
top
feet.
of the pipe.
Okay, just curious. Yeah,
And again, I think we discussed this last year to the last one we did was if we can't get a machine back there, hand dig it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you get like a ditch witch back there or something if you. Ideally. just-
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And if not, hand dig it.
Right.
what damages a cable like that? What does it? What the heck?
Water gets into it.
Water, yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So what are they, what are they now? They're not in PVC right now.
It's
Is that right?
direct buried.
It's all.
It's direct,
Oh,
it's all direct.
yeah.
That entire complex was built direct buried.
It's-
So
So that gets brittle over time and,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
do they have any thought about just replacing all of it with, enclosed PVC?
yeah, gotta amortize
Just
those.
piece by
at a
piece,
time.
yeah,
The plan.
yeah, got it.
Okay, comments?
No.
Okay, any public comment regarding this? Nope. All right, I think we do have a staff recommendation.
I'm gonna take that.
Please, Bill.
So I move that we issue a negative determination for the project at 1024 Main Street, RDA file number 24-12. A negative determination number 3 with the following conditions. 1, a pre-construction conference will be held with the DNR staff prior to the commencement of work. And number 2, after the project has been completed, the applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC stating that all work has been conducted in accordance with all the conditions of this determination of applicability.
Second. Thank you, and the vote, Bill,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well. Good luck.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll see you back sometime
See you
soon.
next year.
It's always Zoom, guys.
Thanks, have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Yeah, you too. All right, next one is another RDA. For 1629 Lowell Road, RDA file 24-13. Good evening. Hayden?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, this is Hayden. Yeah, I was waiting for Dave to get his camera on. Hey, Dave.
Oh,
Hello.
okay.
Nice.
All right, if you want to just give us a brief background here, just name and address for the record, if you will.
Yeah, I can do that. Can you see me, Dave Fisher?
Yeah.
We got
Okay.
it.
Yeah, so my name's Dave Fisher. I'm the landscape architect on this project. You just met Hayden. He and his wife Marissa are looking to screen the neighbor's property, and they felt a green wall would be a good way to do that. And we understand that planting is exempt from the Wetlands Protection Act, but these are relatively large trees. Some are 16 feet tall, and we need to get a machine, a bobcat in there, or a steer loader in there to move the trees around. I believe Bert went out and took a look at the erosion control that we have in place. And it's much more extensive than what I have shown on the plan. And the trees are on site, and we'd like to get them in the ground as soon as possible with this dry weather. So they're all native trees, and we are staying outside of the, I believe the 50-foot. We're about, some of them are about 45 feet away from the wetland edge. And the wetland is a field kind of wetland. It's mowed annual or all the time by the homeowner. And it's a hydric soil delineation for that area there. So we would just like, I guess it's a negative determination on a request for determination of applicability, so that we can go in and plant these trees along the northern property line.
Okay, thank you, David. Appreciate it. It's always a good day to see native trees planted, so. Bill, Nick,
No,
Gary?
comment.
Looks like it's pretty straight away. All right, any public comment? We're getting down to it, so.
No.
All right,
Motion?
I would take a motion, please.
Oh, can I ask one
Yes.
question?
You sure can.
Okay, I think when I talked to Bert, he said there was an administrative, I'll call it a delay, to give us the negative determination, so someone could come out and take a look at the wetland protection. And we have straw wattle and hay bales.
Yep.
And if it's possible, since Bert's already seen it, if we could get permission to start tomorrow.
Well, I'll tell you, Bert,
The erosion controls are in place.
Yeah. You comfortable?
So I mean, I am, yeah, it's native
Okay.
plantings, erosion controls in place, I think it's
Okay.
fine.
All right, we'll go through the determination, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
So I move that we issue a negative determination number 3 for the project at 1629 Lowell Road, RDA file number 24-13, with the following conditions. 1, a pre-construction conference will be held with DNR staff prior to commencement of work. And 2, after the project has been completed, applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC stating that all work has been conducted in accordance with all conditions of this determination of applicability.
Second,
And
All right,
maybe just a note that condition 1 is waived,
And yeah, no,
or has it been met?
has been met.
Has been.
Yeah.
yeah, condition 1 has been met since Bert has already
Yeah.
had that pre-construction conference.
second,
All right, thank you. And Bill,
Aye.
Nick,
aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Lyman, and I as well. Good luck with the project.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, have a nice evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, moving to the last new application this evening. It's a notice of intent, Concord Square Trust. Walden Streets, Main Streets, multiple addresses, DEP file 137-1679.
Hey everyone. Good
Good
evening.
evening.
My
Hi.
name is Robert Melvin with Stamsky McNary. I'll be representing the applicant for this project.
All right,
Right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay. Here we have the wetland permitting plan, showing 4 separate parcels here. And what we have is, behind the buildings, we're looking at, sorry, let me backtrack a bit here. So we're looking at the corner of Walden Street and Main Street. There are various businesses and large buildings in this area. Here we have a small alleyway which leads to the back here, and then another small alleyway from Walden Street. And this alleyway is currently paved just up to the edge, actually, kind of almost overtopping what is an existing retaining wall.
Can you give
we
me,
have-
before you go any further, can you give me a building I can identify?
Yeah, is that
Maybe
the
this-
cheese
Sarah
shop?
Campbell's.
Which
on the
one's
corner.
Sarah? Which
Oh,
one's Sarah?
Sarah.
But how about this one? Is this?
It's not the cheese shop, it's not that
Mm.
far.
It's the home.
It's the home goods, yeah, I don't know. So Sarah Campbell is
Yeah.
the third one on the
Third one.
corner.
Okay, all right, okay, that's helpful,
Yeah,
all right.
okay.
Yeah, so yeah,
Back in
so
those
we're
alleys.
looking back here. What we have is Millbrook runs through the back of the site, sort of between all the properties here. And it's retained by two retaining walls on either side. Sorry, what was that, Julia?
We're still trying to.
Copper Penny Flowers is over
Oh,
here.
gotcha.
So you can come in the back here.
Come in
there's
the
a
back.
parking-
It's a big parking
on that
lot.
side.
That parking lot, yeah, and the
Yeah,
church is over to the,
To the left. Over here.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah,
way,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
correct, now I see what we are, it's a little back area inside, I know what you
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
okay,
Excuse us, Robert.
all right, now we're set.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, so I do have some pictures I can show you guys, but what we're looking at here is we have Millbrook, which runs through the dividing lot lines here and continues underneath the building, actually. And I believe it continues underneath the road and out that way. Yeah, but yeah, the flow direction is, if you follow my arrow, south to north. So we have Millbrook here, which is retained by two retaining walls. And the retaining wall to the west side is in a state of disrepair. It's falling apart. You can actually see the existing pavement sort of almost falling into the stream. So it's in a very bad state right now.
Yeah.
So Robert, there's a big undercut under the pavement that goes into the wall, right?
Yes, I think it'll be helpful. Let me show some pictures here.
There's some in there.
Yeah.
All
There
right,
you
so
go.
here we're looking at the alley from Walden Street.
Mhm.
You can see the dumpster here.
It's right.
Right.
Side of the dumpster.
So,
Like there's food use there.
Just the book.
so this is what I'm talking about here. You can see the pavement has been kind of encroaching almost into the stream.
Yeah.
The retaining
Sliding.
wall's non-existent in this area here, so.
Falling rock.
Mm.
But here's some more pictures of the stream itself. Just running.
Yeah, I know what that's, yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna be taking out vegetation too.
It's, it's nothing.
Collateral.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's gonna undermine the.
Go check though.
They're taking out all that 50 feet of wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is
Mhm.
the area.
They're gonna rebuild the wall.
Yeah. I was curious how you're gonna go, maybe I'm jumping ahead, I don't mean to, but. How, is the wall rebuild, what's the material for the wall rebuild? Is it a stone rebuild or is it a?
So they utilize these pre-constructed blocks. Trying to remember the exact name of them, but they
Yeah.
come, in separate pieces and they kind of fit together almost like Legos and you build structural components around them. But essentially that's what we're looking at here is a side profile of what the wall would look like. These are the blocks. But we can look at this.
Engineering has reviewed
Yeah.
structural and they're satisfied with
Yeah.
the
I,
constructability of that.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I would only note that we've used those in the past
Yeah.
on certain projects and
Yeah.
they don't have the longest lifespan. Maybe 20, 25 years before they start to potential to grade. That's all. And again, I don't know the exact spec, but we've used that stackable
Mm-hmm.
retaining system on a bunch of occasions and, you know,
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, you might just wanna, you know, I'm sure you guys have done some good research, but it's just a matter of just double checking that, because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And you want it to last as long as possible.
Right.
That's all.
Sure, definitely. Yeah, I can definitely talk to the structural guy, see if he has
Yeah.
any more information on these types of material here.
We just did the same thing in Vermont for our coffee shop, so. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it's.
I'm sure ours is
material.
really.
Yeah,
strong,
yours is
yeah.
better, right? Vermont granite.
Stuff is always better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's all slate.
It's granite, man.
Yeah, so just to get a little more into the work here. So the steps of construction would be to retain the flow of water using a double row of sandbags on the high stream end and the downstream end as well. And we'll also provide a filter mid siltation barrier within the stream itself, just to sort of set, you know, a limit of work within the stream and protect erosion. There will also be a temporary cofferdam placed on the upstream end as well to help retain the water. And they will be utilizing a temporary pump to get that water across the work area into the downstream end. That'll be pumped into a dirt bag to help filter out any sediment buildup. There will be a backup pump kept on site at all times. It is understood that work on this wall would only occur during very low flow conditions. But you know, we keep a backup pump just in case here. So so yep, they'll construct the wall here, and then we have a little bit of work going on up top. What we're going to do is remove some of this pavement that I'm circling with my mouse here. And we're actually going to depress that a bit and lower the area so that we can get a catch basin in here. And the catch basin will be equipped with a CDS pretreatment device before discharging back into the Mill Brook. So we'll have our new edge of pavement here. We're actually pulling it back away from the edge of the wall. So we're going to be creating a little buffer here. On this side, the downstream side of the catch basin, we're going to be using riprap stone as a buffer. Behind the catch basin and up to the dumpster pad, we're actually going to be using a vertical granite curb with a roadway barrier behind that. And then I believe there's about a 3-foot buffer between that and the wall, which would be just soil. And I think that covers all of the work here. Yeah, I will happily take any questions.
Something's gonna grow in that soil.
I was gonna say, you might want to throw something on
Yeah.
that.
You don't want a tree starting there.
Yeah,
Nice. Put some seed mix down.
yeah.
So it's just one side that's being replaced,
The other side is, I think, in
The other side's fine.
is it?
it's concrete, was it a?
No, I'm pretty sure the other side is some
masonry
sort of a
type
stone, yeah.
Yeah, I know the structural engineer took a look at both sides and even going further down the walls, and he made the recommendation to do just this area here, said the other areas are fine, they're structurally sound, so.
Good.
And it's the same engineer structural that did the retaining wall replacement behind Barrett Sotheby's, behind the what's the barber?
Bleeding strap.
Yes, Blade and
Blade
Strop,
Yeah. Strap and
Strap and blade.
Strap and Blade,
Something like
right.
that. Just curious, are the pumps during the work, are they electric pumps or are they gas pumps?
That I'm not sure. I would imagine they would be electric, but I can find out for you guys.
Yeah. I'm saying gas, if it's going all day, there's a lot of, you know, a lot of fumes and a lot of, you know, there's people
You
back
could
there.
condition it,
A lot of noise.
but they're
A lot of
electric.
noise, yeah, might make sense if they're gonna be there for a while.
Sure.
Yep.
Just for the folks around there. and,
Sure.
You know,
And how long do you think this project would take?
So we do have a contractor. I believe he told me in total about 2 weeks. The actual construction of the wall, I think about a week, but then, to complete the rest of the work, probably a
Wow.
full weeks.
Pretty fast.
where would you set up to, that a piece of equipment to lift those stones into place? Is there a pad proposed for that? There's gotta be some type of,
Staging.
staging area for that, whether it's a large backhoe or something that
Right.
can lift those blocks and start to place them. Is there a place suggested for that?
So from what I understand, the backhoe would work along the ridge and
What does that mean?
I
Yeah,
mean,
Gotta have a decent arm because you can't get beyond that deck, I don't think, that.
Well, would it come in from the other side? Work from the other side
That
of
would
the,
be much better.
Yeah.
But,
Whose property?
yeah. that's the
I think
question.
I think that Sharon owns on both sides.
Oh, okay,
I
great.
think, I think.
Be a lot
Yeah.
easier to lift from the other side and for
Yeah.
materials as well.
So that would be good, Robert, if you can identify the staging area on the plan.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
And there were a number of comments that were relayed to the engineer already.
Yeah.
Have those been
So
satisfied? or-
no, I mean, I just sent them
Yeah.
to Stansky yesterday, so they haven't been incorporated, and sounds like, Robert, it will take you about a week to get those finalized.
Right, yeah. So the deadline is next Friday, you were saying?
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that
Friday
sounds,
noon.
that sounds doable, so.
Okay, so just, well, as long as everything gets addressed, we can have an order ready for the October 1st meeting. You're getting close to the end of low flow conditions. It's generally, November 1st, November 15th, or with written approval. So hopefully you have a contractor that's lined up and ready to go.
Right, well, actually, everyone is pretty much prepared to do this work in, actually next year around, sometime after May. So
Oh,
I
it's being
think
pushed off now.
they sort of
Okay.
understood that this may not get done right away in time for this season, but I can talk
Okay.
to them just to make sure,
That's
what their intentions
it's
are.
up to you.
Yeah.
Yep,
This is not, this would be.
that they don't have the revisions done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Hey, I just had a quick question. It says on one of the comments, please show the outlet for the 4-inch perforated pipe.
Yeah,
Could you just locate it that for me, if you don't mind? I'm just trying to.
Yeah, so that's actually gonna be the pipe that's behind the retaining wall. at the bottom
Okay, so
here.
it's just, right. Okay, so it's just drainage for the backside.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
thank you.
I have something else. I can't remember now.
Okay. All right, so you wanna try to shoot for the, get plans in by next Friday and we'll see you on the 1st?
Yeah, that would be great. I think we can do that.
Okay, let me just ask if there's any public comment on this application. Not seeing any? All right, look forward to seeing you back on the 1st.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night, everyone.
You too.
Two.
All right, next item up is the enforcement area, military offices, DEP file 137-1315.
Good evening. Dan Bailey from Pierce Atwood, Land Use Council, and I have with me Monique Allen from the Garden Continuum. There was a site visit on this one about 10 days ago. Monique, Delia, and a couple of the commissioners attended. Subsequent to that site visit, there were plan revisions. Delia, I don't know how much you want us to go into those plan revisions, but Monique is certainly prepared to do so. But Delia got back to us today with some comments and some additional requested minor revisions, which Monique was able to turn around. I don't know if fully responded to you, Delia, but she turned them around today, and that's kind of where we are right now. So Delia, I'll kind of leave it to you. What do you
Sure.
want to hear from us?
Sure. So thanks for those revisions, Monique. I have not had a chance to look at them today. It's been kind of the roller skates day. I think maybe rather than having, I thought that site visit last week was very productive.
Good.
It was very helpful, I think, for everybody to see, you know, as a group,
Extent of it.
the extent of it, the areas, what we were talking about. I will say that, you know, I maybe didn't communicate this clearly enough, but what I was kind of hoping we would get from that discussion was a comparison of what was approved originally, under the order of conditions and where we are now. So I think we're getting closer, but perhaps not the level of comfort with understanding whether the coverage is adequate. But I think there's a way that the commission can move forward with this. So I suggested some minor changes to the plans, which are basically just making sure that everything's native and identifying what's in the, you know, the different seed mixes. But then just to have some, you know, conditions in the revised enforcement order that basically says, go forth and plant and do that this fall. And that the commission reserves the right to, you know, if the coverage, you know, the 25-foot on center and the 10 for shrubs and the 10-foot on center for trees has not been established with the plantings that have gone in, that they will require additional plantings.
Supplement those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So invasives removal, that's something that I think we need a little bit more information on, like you've identified that there are invasives out there. How will you handle those? If you can give us, you know, an understanding, and then, you know, by next Friday,
Narrative.
a narrative that
Yeah.
says, you know, so, and essentially anything 2 inches or less is expected to be a hand removal, and 2 inches and over is a cut and dab treatment. Not weed is a cut and dab stem injection treatment.
So is the idea to say, why don't they move ahead, get the materials, get going with the
ordering.
Right, with the ordering.
Yeah.
And then we'll be in a position hopefully to provide a revised enforcement order on October 1st.
Yeah.
Does that make sense from everybody's side here?
Are you asking me? I'm sorry, I can't
No,
tell.
We're probably directing it more towards
Dan.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and yeah, I mean, I'm gonna just direct it more towards Monique. Does that make sense to you?
Okay. Yeah, so
There we go.
so it was to me. Okay, so I just have two questions. I think I have two questions. The first is, I want to make sure that, so the idea around coverage is that the lines that we drew felt like the right area. And then within that area, we just want to make sure we have the 1 foot, 5 foot, 10-foot on center setup. And obviously, as we talked about, with some leniency for, like, there's a huge root there and there's a tree there, and that one had to be 7 and this one's 5.
We're not gonna come out with a, you know,
Okay.
a DBH tape and a caliper. No, we're not doing that.
Okay.
We're just going to, that will be really sort of an in the fields
Yeah.
evaluation.
Yeah,
We
that's
know
fair.
what it should feel like.
Yeah, no, totally fair. That
I
makes.
think you do too, Monique. I think, you know, we have a level of confidence.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
You understand what the commission is looking for.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, this is really just a kind of, because we don't have those numbers to confirm, we just want to have something that the commission has the ability.
Fall back on and.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all.
Understood. Yep. And then I did want to say that what I did do, based on your email, was that I chose 2 New England wetland plant mixes. We vetted everything through Go Botany, so I think you'll be very pleased with those mixes. And then you had asked a question about the little X's and what that meant. That's just noting where all of the cattails are. It's just the
That's
limit
okay,
of
that's cattails. Okay, so
That's
maybe
all
just
that.
include that on the plan, just in the
It is.
legend.
It's noted.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's just so tiny, but it's absolutely noted in a couple of places
Okay,
on
great.
the plan. So that's all fixed. And then the question on the invasive, just to be clear, when we were on the site, we saw a little purple loosestrife and you said not to pull it. So we're leaving that in place.
Good,
So
fine.
okay, so the big 2 things that we were seeing was obviously the bittersweet, just crazy cuckoo, and a little bit of buckthorn and stuff. And so I think everything that we saw was small enough to hand pull. So you're saying just add that into a narrative?
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay, okay.
Yep. Yeah, put it right
or
on
you
the
can put it on
plan.
the plan.
Put it right on the
Whatever is
plan.
easiest is so that it's captured somewhere. And then
Yeah, and I think it actually is on the plan, but what I didn't say was the how. So
yeah,
if
that's right.
I
It is on the
add that,
plan, species, but yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then the last thing, and the last thing that I think we talked about at the site visit was pheno markers.
Oh.
So,
y-
yep, so placing pheno markers along that edge of the whatever your outermost planting is, just to say annual mow only beyond this point.
And is that something we should, and
Yes.
I feel like we put it on the plan, but maybe we didn't.
I
I'll
didn't
make
see
sure-
it.
I'll make
Okay,
sure that's on the plan, but I thought we put it on there because we looked them up to figure out.
Yep. Okay,
So
Yeah,
I'll
okay,
make
write
sure
that
that they're
down.
on there.
yeah. So, and I will send you a spec for a pheno marker detail that you can add to the plan that.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, what do you use for feeder markers?
So we, you know, if you Google pheno markers.
Monique and I did that the other day.
Okay, so there is, you know, there's, I'm sure more than one company that can provide
Exactly.
those. And we're not gonna, you know, I forget what it's called. Starts with a B, Burnson or something like that,
Right.
or approved equivalent. I mean,
Oh, you mean the manufacturer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll send you a detail.
Okay.
Yeah, again, I think Bert had included on that mitigation policy, right?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah, it is
typical
on.
detail, if you will, so.
Oh, it's on there. That's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's right.
And I had one other final question, which was when we were walking in area 1, which is going into the parking area behind the Walgreens. We were all sort of noticing how steep the slope is, and I said, you know, we talked about jute with netting, and we all hate that. I was wondering, what about using Curlex netting, which is
Yeah, the netting's a problem.
it is still a problem. Okay.
Yeah, the Flex Terra would be a good, did you look at the Flex Terra?
The Flex Terra, I have not looked at that. That was that spray, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look up that. If you have information on it, I would be grateful for sure.
Yeah,
But
I'll send that along. Okay.
Well, great,
Alright.
so the idea here is, you know, go forth, get your
Order.
stock, get ready to go.
Yeah.
And then, those final details plans in by next Friday.
Yeah, Friday
Okay.
noon.
And then we should be
Um,
ready to go by October 1st.
yes,
Everybody should be ready to go.
Yeah,
and I just, of course, I have another question. So I'm doing another conservation project right now, and I went to do ordering and noticed that like Carex pennsylvanica, I can't seem to find. So how is it best to articulate to you what things we end up not being able to find, and we need to do a hold on an area or on a finishing of planting until spring? Is it better to partial plant and then hold for spring, or like skip a whole area to hold for spring? What's the commission?
Partial plant and or replace with a suitable native alternative.
Okay, and we would have
We're
to
gonna be
ask
happy-
you for that before we would.
It's best if you do, yes, but
Okay.
I mean, I'll tell you, I will approve anything that's on the Native Plant Trust
It's on the
website.
native, okay. Okay, I am officially done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
If I haven't already, any public comment on this? Okay, seeing none, we will see you back on the 1st.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, folks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, next up is a certificate of compliance for the 68 Commonwealth Ave, DEP file 137-1452.
That is a certificate for the addition of the memory care unit at Concord Park. And
Yeah.
they also constructed some steps that go down the bank. It was a
Oh,
popular fishing access. at basically where Neshoba Brook enters the Assabet River. And
Yeah.
those, there was a little back and forth with those over the past several months. They've improved them, changed them, so we're satisfied that they've accomplished the intent of what those were supposed to be and not seeing any more erosion, so it's good to go.
Okay,
I've
great.
been watching that.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I walk the dog there.
It's one of my
love that.
favorite spots. I
Yes.
Yeah,
love
it's a
that
nice-
spot,
Huh.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a motion for the COC?
For the motion, yeah, sure. I move that we issue the COC for VOA Concord Assisted Living at 68 Commonwealth Ave, DEP file number 1371452.
I second,
Thank you, Nick. And we'll take the vote. Bill?
aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. And on to other business, Trails Committee reappointment.
So we have a Trails Committee member, he was filling an unexpired term, Bauke Nordaj. And he is interested in filling out or serving a full Trails Committee term, and so we have him up for your consideration. He's a tremendous, well, Bill can speak.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great.
He's
Amazing volunteer.
All right. Bill, you wanna?
I make that motion that we,
Thank you.
yeah, that we reappoint him for another term.
Second,
All right, and the vote, Bill?
Aye.
Nick?
aye.
Gary?
Aye.
And
Can
I'm
I
an aye as
just,
well.
can I
Yes.
just say that you're appointing him for a full first term to
And-
end May
May
31st,
31.
2027.
Okay, or yes, so
As amended.
as amended.
All right. Thank you, Bill. And Delia, Marshall Farm.
Okay, let's pull something up here. So. Okay, so this is Marshall Farms. The farm buildings, the greenhouses, the house. The greenhouse are in this parcel here. And this parcel 141 I'm sorry, 141 Harrington is municipal land that is leased to Marshall Farms. And this parcel to the east of the farmstead is Harrington Park, and this is Harrington House over here. And Ricky Marshall farms these parcels as well as a little bit of land over at the Rogers land in this area here. He has a couple of, there are 2 pine trees on Harrington Park that in your thumbnail, you have photographs. You know, there's one of them has some pretty severe insect infestation. There are play structures for his kids in that area, and he's looking to remove both of those trees. And he would also like to construct a greenhouse, 36 by 20, a hoop house, which is more of a temporary structure. There's no foundation in this sort of general location on Harrington Park. And I've looked at it, you know, hoop houses are
Like Barrett's Mill that we've approved. in
same
the
like with
past.
Barrett's Mill.
Yeah.
They're a really good opportunity for farmers to extend their season. So that's a recommendation that I would support. And then on this side, just as more of a heads up, there's about 30 pine trees they were planted, I don't know, 50 or so years ago, very close together. Their roots are now interfering with the septic system and leach fields that are in this location here. And he has submitted a request to the select board, because that's municipal land, for removal of those and then replanting. So there's a farm road that runs along this field edge. And he would plant on the other side of that farm road a line of oak trees to kind of mimic where these. So I think that's, I mean,
Yeah.
it's more as a sort of
Even
heads
better,
up.
right?
Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
nice, I think that's
Yeah.
it's an overall benefit to the farm. So I would look for a motion to allow Marshall Farms to remove those 2 trees and construct the 24 by 36 hoop house.
Okay.
Need a motion? That's
Yes.
not a admin approval?
No, that is changes on town conservation land. It should be voted.
Okay, Yeah, I move that we approve the removal of 2 white pines from Harrington Park and the construction of a 36 by 24-foot hoop house. For Marshall Farms, right, Marshall Farms. I don't know what the address is.
249, Eric.
249 Harrington Ave. Thank you.
Second,
All right, Bill,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
oh, Nick,
aye,
and I'm an I as well.
Look at the shadow, by the way. You see the shadow that those trees cast on that farm field?
Yeah.
I never can piece of.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's also getting a benefit that way too.
Yeah.
But he's planting oaks, which are
Yeah,
gonna have
oaks
a
are
greater
just-
canopy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I asked him about that and he said, no, he said, I love trees.
All right, okay.
But the way, I mean, the way the sun travels.
Yeah, and
he's
also,
not-
but he's getting rid of evergreens too, so that's a
Yeah.
little bit of a.
Yeah,
Good afternoons.
yeah, that's true.
Right.
All right, so that brings us up, I think, to our last item of the day, Giroux Park Recreation, right? In terms
Yes,
of having
so. So the Recreation Commission is going to be submitting an application to the Community Preservation Committee
Mhm.
for CPA funds, and they're looking to have a phase 2 design, sort of a feasibility study and what options might be available, but essentially it's to look at some sort of water access, a fishing pier, a natural playground,
Mhm.
and getting some cost estimates for these things.
does that make sense, given the situation with the dam, or?
I think it's okay, because I think by the time, these funds for the design won't be available, so town meeting is anticipated in June of next year. Funds won't be available until fall, so their work won't be even started until the fall. And hopefully the task force will have made a decision,
and-
well,
And all three of the subgroups, the working groups, would be in favor, would see the idea of having access from Giroux Park. to the
Right.
Just a question of the extent of whatever
Right.
to get out to the water. if-
Right, and
That's
that's,
right.
and that's gonna be up to their
That's gonna be up
proposal,
to them.
but we're just affirming that we would like to,
Yeah.
yeah, we would support it.
And these are primarily design dollars to explore.
these are
those
just
op-
design dollars,
design.
and
Yeah.
that's an important distinction,
Yeah.
because, obviously, when it comes to any construction request, it would be, the Giroux parcel, which is municipal,
Right,
but anything that's over in the pond.
Yeah.
Is NRC, so there's a
Right.
little bit more of a conflict. for the-
Yeah,
For the
yeah.
construction, I mean,
There's a
in
lot of
terms of
ideas on
supporting
that
a
plan.
CPC application,
yeah.
right?
right.
Yeah,
If it goes, once they're designed, they'll probably be back, and once,
Yeah.
Oh,
if they
sure.
wanna put in whatever is a dock or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But you would have to permit that, so there's a little
Yes.
bit of a, I wouldn't recommend that you
no,
No, we're not.
issue a letter of
suggesting- no,
support
not-
when
not for
on a
dock.
regulatory, but for
No.
design dollars, I don't
Yeah.
think there's an issue.
right,
Yeah.
right, it's kind of exploratory to
Yeah.
see what's
Yeah.
viable
Right.
and
Mhm.
costing, and et cetera. Okay,
Mhm.
that sounds like we're generally supportive of that. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay,
You need a motion for us to say we would support, right, having a letter written by the committee.
Yes, and I'm happy to draft one for review at the next meeting. If somebody wants to draft it, that's fine too.
That'd be
Just
great
let me
if you
know.
do it, if you do it.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we ask
That'd be
Elliot to draft a letter of support from the Natural Resources Commission for the CPC application by the Recreation Commission to have, to develop a plan for water access from Giroux Park.
Great.
second, thank you for the second, and the vote, Bill,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
and I am an I as well.
Great.
And with that, we are adjourned.